Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lead Center channel, and today we are going to look at one of the most extraordinary works of English literature, the epic of Beowulf. Now, right off the bat, the reason Beowulf holds such a uniquely special place in English literature is because it is the only surviving work of its kind. The poem was written down around 1000 AD by an unknown Christian monk in England, but the story itself is much older than that. It likely circulated orally for centuries before it was ever recorded. We know this because the events of the epic are set around 500 AD in Scandinavia, specifically in what is now Sweden and Denmark. This might seem strange because why would a story about Scandinavian warriors be preserved in England? The reason for that lies in the people who brought the story to Britain, the Anglo-Saxons. They came from parts of present-day Germany, Denmark and the Netherlands, migrating to Britain after the Roman Empire withdrew in the 5th century. Along with their weapons and ships, they brought a rich oral tradition, a world of pagan gods, heroic legends and warrior poetry. These stories were passed down by scribes, poets who performed them aloud in the halls of kings, preserving memory through rhythm, repetition and voice. And one of these stories was the epic of Beowulf. In short, the epic tells a story of a warrior hero named Beowulf who slays monsters, battles a dragon and eventually becomes a king. But beyond the plot, the epic holds significant historical value as it offers a rare window into a distant past. Beowulf sits at the crossroads of two cultures, the ancient pagan traditions of the Germanic tribes and the rising influence of Christianity. You can actually see that tension in the poem. There are Christian references to God and divine judgment, but also to fate, what the Anglo-Saxons called wird. That mix of Christian and pagan ideas gives the poem a unique flavor. It's like a bridge between two worlds, one fading, one just beginning. The epic comes from a time when stories were still passed down by word of mouth, shaped by generations before they were ever written down. This oral tradition is important because Beowulf wasn't written down right away. For centuries it was performed aloud, recited in great halls. And you can feel that in the poem. The rhythm, the alliteration, the repeated phrases, all of it is meant to be heard, not just read. A clear trace of the oral origin of the story can be found in the opening line of the epic.
What way gar dana in yar dagum.
That opening line, what, literally means something like hey or listen. It's a poet calling the audience to attention. For all its cultural importance, Beowulf survived in only one manuscript, just one. It's part of what is now called the Noël Codex, a collection of Old English texts written around the year 1000 AD. The manuscript is held today in the British Library, and for a long time almost no one read it. In fact, the manuscript nearly didn't survive at all. In 1731 there was a big fire in a house in London where it was being kept. The edges of many pages were burned and some lines of the poem were lost. So if that fire had gone just a little further, we wouldn't even be talking about Beowulf today. So let's get into the story itself. What actually happens in Beowulf? The epic opens in Denmark with a legendary king named Hrothgar. He builds a great mead hall called Heorot, where his warriors can feast, drink and celebrate their victories. But nearby there lurks a monster named Grendel. It hears the music and laughter and he's not happy about it. In the epic, Grendel is described as a fiend out of hell, grim and greedy. Grendel begins attacking the hall night after night, killing warriors and dragging them off into his lair. The Danes live in fear for 12 long years and no one can stop him. Then, across the sea in Geatland, in what is now southern Sweden, a young warrior named Beowulf hears of Hrothgar's troubles and he decides to gather a small group of men and sails to Denmark to offer his help. When he arrives, Beowulf introduces himself with confidence. He lists his past victories, boasting in the way heroic poetry often encourages. He is even so confident that he tells Hrothgar he will fight Grendel without weapons, since the monster doesn't use them either. That night, the warriors wait in the hall, and when Grendel appears, Beowulf is ready. He grabs the monster in a powerful grip. The two struggle fiercely, but Beowulf tears off Grendel's arm, and the creature flees to die in his cave. The Danes celebrate and Beowulf is praised as a hero, and Hrothgar showers him with gifts. But the joy is short-lived. Grendel's mother, a creature even more dangerous, comes to the hall the next night, seeking revenge. She kills one of Hrothgar's closest men. The next day, Beowulf agrees to go after the monster. He tracks her to a dark, haunted lake. He dives into the water and fights her in her underwater lair. The battle is brutal. His sword fails him, but he sees a giant sword hanging on the wall. With it, he kills her and cuts off Grendel's head for good measure. Beowulf returns with the head and again the people rejoice. Eventually he heads home to Geatland, where he is rewarded by his king and becomes a respected hero. Fast forward 50 years. Beowulf is now king of the Geats. He has ruled wisely, but now a new threat arises. A dragon guarding a treasure hoard is awakened when a thief steals a cup. The dragon begins to burn down villages in revenge. By the way, this theme, a dragon hoarding a big treasure and burning down villages, that sounds a lot like The Hobbit. Because there, Bilbo also wakes Smaug, the dragon sleeping under Erebor, and also he is labeled as a thief. Since Tolkien was an ancient English literature professor in England, we can be certain that he took inspiration from Beowulf during writing his own work. Beowulf, though now an old man, decides to face the dragon himself. He brings a group of warriors, but when the dragon starts attacking, only one, a young man named Wiglaf, stays by his side. The fight is fierce. Beowulf manages to kill the dragon, but he is mortally wounded, and as he lies dying, he asks Wiglaf to bring him some of the dragon's treasures so he can see what he has won for his people. Eventually Beowulf dies, and Wiglaf mourns him. The Geats built a great funeral mound by the sea to honor him, and the poem eventually ends with these final words. They said that of all the kings upon the earth, he was the man most gracious and fair-minded, kindest to his people and keenest to win fame. So that's Beowulf, part warrior epic, part elegy for a lost world. It's a story about courage, fame and the cost of heroism, but it's also about memory, about the act of remembering and retelling. It started as spoken poetry shaped by voices around firelight, and basically through mere luck it reaches us in the present day. To end this video, let's listen to the first lines of the epic in Old English, the same lines a person would have heard more than 1,000 years ago.
What way gar dana in yar dagum feud kuninga thrimje frunan hutha athalingus ellen fremidon. Oft schild shaving shathan a threatum monigum maigthum meru setla oftea. Egg so de erlas suthan arist worth fashaft funden. Hethas frovra jebad Weox under woknum, weorth mundum tha, o that him aig wilch thara setindra, over hron rade, hiran shulde, gomban yildan. That was god kuning. Them avra was, after Kenneth, young in yardum, thon a god sende fokid frovre. Fear in tharve onyat, that he drugon aldor laze longe wile. Him thas lifre wodres walden, wordare forjaf. Beo was breme, blad wide sprang, schuldes avra shedilandum in. Swashal young guma, gore wirchan, fromum feo hiftum on fader berme, that hine an ulde eft je wunien, will ye sithos, thone wicume, leodia lasten. Lof darum shall in magtha jewera man yetheon.